Hey, guess what? I got something super special for you today, because today in the Rat Hole, we are live.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is...
Hello, Internet, and welcome. We are live here in the Rat Hole. My name is Paparazzo Dave Chapman, and I've got an amazing show for you today. Let me bring in my guest here, Jason Orcena. There we go. Hello, Jason. How you doing today?
Good. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing fabulous. It's a crazy day, so I'm excited to be here and excited to have you here.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Why don't we start a little bit right into things? Tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, a little bit of your background in gaming.
Sure. So my name is, as you said, Jason Orcena, and I'm with Dr. Zero Presents, a little tiny gaming company, pastime gaming company out of Central Ohio, so down in the States. Been playing games with family and friends since I was a wee tyke. Brought my sons into playing some games, my nephew, my wife even helps out with the hobby a little bit. And a few years ago, we decided, let's try to produce our first game. Went through that process on Kickstarter, and we just keep putting out new material about once or twice a year.
Awesome. So we got, let's start with some of your older things here. Hey, Willow, you have a game called Royal, and I saw a little bit about this. I didn't unfortunately get to catch up with you at Origins, but I did get to see a little bit of your game. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that for now?
So what started the whole company and the whole process was when I was trying to come up with a tabletop game that would quite literally appeal to my son, my youngest son at the time, who was, I think, about 12, and my mother, who was really into, all of a sudden, a very popular fantasy series on HBO. And so I was trying to find something that could bridge the gap that would be fun and enjoyable for both of them at the same time. And we ended up creating this game. Took about 2 years between the artwork and the development of the game mechanics. I ran into a great team of guys at the now sort of defunct Geekspiel Discord channel who were willing to do a lot of the testing of the game for me, including at PAX Unplugged, which we were talking about before the show started. And it essentially is a card game. It was originally based on, and if you go on Kickstarter, you can see the old Kickstarter with all the various versions of the game in its development phase, but began with a series almost like a tarot deck. And it went from being a sort of a tarot deck to a bridge-sized card game, and it's about pattern matching for the most part, where you're laying the cards to the table in a very specific pattern of numbers and colors. And for those that may have some difficulty with the colors or the numbers, there also is iconography that can help identify what suits the cards represent. And it was meant to be sort of the classic power building court development sort of game where each player is trying to build a court to rule this fictional world in which all the characters on the cards are participating in. Very, very straightforward, very simple. You can think something akin to dominoes to some degree as you're matching the patterns and the colors. And each person's building their own court as you go through and play the game. But you also have some additional elements that can come into play involving the different houses. There's one house in particular, the suits of cards, we call them houses for this particular piece. And there's one suit that has some special abilities that all the players, as they're drawing the cards randomly, can use. And then there's also a series of cards called fate cards that a player can play on their own court or play on other courts that have typically a very negative or detrimental effect on somebody else's court. Most typically, it's going to kill whatever card it's played against, and the card is discarded. So that was Royal, the original game. Still available for sale if anyone's really interested at drzeropresents.com. 72 cards in the original deck, and we did an expansion that was at Origins that we were selling as well. The one and only expansion for Royal, for this version of Royal, that added an additional 36 cards. So the total deck is 108 cards. All the cards, for the most part, have their own unique pictures on them. All the face cards are unique for all 6 houses when you include the expansion deck. And all the artwork on all the fake cards is unique to each fake card.
Okay. And you said this version of Royal, is there something coming down the pipes?
Yeah, so for a long time we've been weighing up some adjustments to the game and the cards themselves. This card, for Paparazzo, was at Origins. You may have seen some of the cards, they were on display there. They have a pretty intricate design to them, including the background and everything, which a lot of folks have commented they like the artwork is one of their favorite parts. But as the person who did most of the artwork, I had never liked the artwork. Okay. I'm not supposed to admit that about your own game. It's good artwork. I'm not saying it's not good artwork. It just never truly captured the vision I wanted for the game. So the game stands alone as it is right now really well, but there's a variation on this game with new artwork that I've been toying with for about 1.5 years. And it'll take me a good couple of years to finish this up and issue the new version of Royal. But I think there's a version that will come out in the future, at least a couple of years down the road.
That's awesome. Other than that, and of course, like I said, we'll get to the Ragnarok Run in a couple of minutes. What else do you have kind of running around these days?
Well, we've done everything we produce gets produced through Kickstarter. We've been using that as the funding stream all along. The people at Kickstarter, meaning the backers, are really a tremendously wonderful group of folks, generally speaking. If anyone's ever interested in trying to produce something, Kickstarter has been a really good platform. I don't know that we would have ever gotten off the ground without it. But through Kickstarter, we've been able to try a couple of different things. Again, some of these are available on Dr. Zero Presents. But we did 7 Sailors last summer. Mm-hmm. That was one we had done, I said last summer, 2020. But we had developed that over the course of about 2 years. We have a very slow development cycle. But over the course of about 2 years, we developed a tabletop board game. And it was sort of a push your luck worker placement game. Had it all developed, was looking towards doing a Kickstarter, and then the pandemic hit. I know I'm not supposed to say that word pandemic, but pandemic hit, and it was a tabletop game, and we just couldn't take it anywhere for test playing with the finished version of it. And so we decided to put it out on Kickstarter as a fully downloadable print and play game and as a game with a tabletop simulator version. And so we put it out through Kickstarter. And I think we still have the print and play version available on the website if anybody was really interested in it. But our other major piece that we've been doing now, we've done 2 years. We had a version that was going to come out in the pandemic, but we had to shelve it because of issues during the pandemic. But we do a zine, black and white zine during Zine Quest, which is run in Kickstarter in February into March. If you've never seen it, you have to, the whole gimmick for Zine Quest is you have to do one of those old, for old people like me, one of those old black and white mimeographed zines that people used to produce out of their basements and college dormitories for old role-playing games. And so you have to put out one of these zines, black and white, 5.5 by 8.5 black and white zine. And so we've done 2 of those already. We have the third one, probably about 75% of the way done already for the February-March turnaround. And for our zine, it's called Wee Bit Twisted, W-E-E Bit Twisted. And the first one was, these are for RPGs, so it's an RPG zine. The first one is generic RPG. It doesn't have a specific game system that's designed for it. It's designed generically enough that you can use it for any story and plug in your own stats if you need to. There's a generic game system we created that's really just narrative-based that you can use instead. Nothing fancy. It's just very simple for, matter of fact, the subtitle of the zine is the RPG for the non-conformist gamer or something like that. It's really intended for folks that do not have RPG friends but like to play RPGs. That was the first version. It was a Western, and it's called We Bit Twisted because we tend to take some tropes that are in popular culture and blend them together to make the story. So the first one was We Bit Twisted, and it was a Western theme. I think it was called Two Mutants for Sister Sarah was the first one. That was the name of the mission. And then the one we did this last year was We Bit Twisted 2, TOO, even though it's the third version of the Zine Quest, third year of the Zine Quest. We missed our production cycle on the middle one. And it was, I'll just be honest with you, it's a spoof for the Rocky Horror Picture Show and Rapunzel. And so, again, that one, however, is a 5e compatible RPG. So we specifically made that one to be compatible with the RPG. And on another show that I did, that is an RPG broadcast, I actually ran that for a group of gamers as the RPG. So we have another one that will be coming up in February of 2022, and that'll be We Bit Twisted 3. So look for it on Kickstarter, again, under Dr. Zero Presents being the moniker, but We Bit Twisted 2. We Bit Twist is the name of the magazines.
Right.
So those are, and that one we pretty much are on a schedule to produce every year. Between that and the Royal and trying to manage those, pretty hefty load. We've got a couple other games in the hopper, but now as things are starting to open back up, we have the ability to take those out and play test them. That's been the biggest hamper besides workload, has just been getting to a table with people to test drive.
Definitely.
Games.
Yeah, anything, whether it's playtesting or just getting together, it's definitely been a challenge for sure. Is the third one, or if you can't tell me, that's fine too. Are you thinking 5e for that one as well? Is that going to be something different?
No, we'll probably do 5e. We found with I've played a lot of role-playing games over the years, had really fallen out of playing any role-playing for probably the past 10 years. And then during the pandemic, my brother dragged me into a virtual game online back in the spring of 2020. And we played a campaign continuously since then. And so I really found the latest version of the 5e rules works well with narrative games. So a more narrative style online. And that seems to work well with what we're doing instead of the very combat mechanic heavy that I grew up doing with the battle mat and the hex squares and all that. The stories that we're doing in We Bit Twisted work better with a more narrative heavy storytelling sort of piece. So we'll stick with 5e, at least for now. I hear there's rumor of another version coming, so who knows? Another version of
D&D or another version of
another version of D&D?
Okay,
new update or something.
5.5.
Yeah, exactly.
The revenge of 3.5. No.
Yeah.
It's Halloween. We're allowed to have horror stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, exactly. Right.
That thought works. Cool. So, in amidst all of this, and we've got your next kind of coming project, the Ragnarok Run, and this got sold to me pretty quick, without all of the details. So I'm really excited to hear a little bit more about it. Yeah, so let's just dig into that. Where did this come from? Where is it going? And especially, where is it this year, I guess?
Sure. So a little bit of background. So my normal day life, I've always been very interested in individual health and really having a healthy lifestyle, being active. And being active means something different for everyone. And to have a healthy lifestyle and be healthy, it doesn't require that everyone be, a performance athlete, that they're at the gym daily or that they are running marathons or any of that sort of thing. For years and years and years, I did do that. I did do 5Ks and ran 5Ks pretty regularly, particularly through my 30s and even in my 40s, and have been running since I was a kid. But as time goes on, running is not for everyone and can be harder and harder to manage and maintain depending on your own individual lifestyle and health. And for some people, running is never going to be a way to maintain a healthy lifestyle, and that's okay. What we really need is just to stay active, particularly when it's hardest to be active is when we usually need to be active. And so when we were working through the pandemic last year, there were a couple things that were coming together at the same time. We had it was very difficult to be active, and at least in Ohio, there were public health orders prohibiting a lot of activity, so you couldn't do 5Ks. You couldn't do most things. You couldn't even go to most gyms because they were closed. And so many people had difficulty being active in any way. I know you've talked a little bit about how you were fairly active as well, Dave, and I don't know what it was like for you in Alberta, but in the States, you couldn't do much for about a year. So we had a lot of folks who were going into the holidays last year who were unable to stay active as they liked. We had folks that were still socially isolated from each other, and you're getting ready to go into the holidays, which tends to result in overindulging, not being active to begin with, and you don't even have companionship in the holidays last year. Anyways, that's the stage, just by way of background. And so we thought, why don't we try to do something to encourage folks to be active during the holidays and also give them a way to connect with folks socially if they wanted to at the same time. And we know forming a good, healthy habit is really just about repetition. It's not about tomorrow saying, I'm going to start running 5 miles a day. It's about tomorrow saying, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to do something for 10 minutes that will get my heart rate up and make me active. So we had previously done a postcard game through Kickstarter again called Ancestry, and Ancestry spelled with TREE at the end. Again, available at Dr. Zero Presents. Shameless plug on that one. Anyways, the Ancestry
here. Shameless plug.
Right?
Plug
Shameless
away.
plug. So the Ancestry postcard game, I just was intrigued by this. Postcard games. Can you fit a game that people would play on a postcard that you could mail to someone as a gift? Just an inexpensive gift. So I said, why don't we combine the two, and we'll create a challenge, a physical activity challenge, not a race, but a physical activity challenge, virtual challenge, where every day for 10 days, you try to walk a mile or the equivalent physical activity. So again, some folks will struggle with that. Some folks will not, but the idea was consistency. Can we challenge people to try to be active every day for 10 days straight during the hardest time of the year to be active? The 21st, December 21st, through December 31st. It's dark, it's cold in the northern hemisphere. It's just very difficult to be active during that time frame. And it's the holidays and you're busy. So really important to actually be active during that time. So that was the premise of the game. And then we create a postcard that you can mail to other folks to challenge them to be part of the game with you. That's what we knew we wanted to do. And that was the basis of what was going to happen. And then if you haven't picked up on the conversation so far, I may have a dark sense of humor. And so I said, the reason why you have to be active is because there's a world-ending threat that takes place every year between December 21st and December 31st. Every year, there is some world-ending threat. And if you are not active, the world will end. So if you fail to stay active for 10 days straight, the world will end. So that was the premise of the first Ragnarok Run that we did. And that was the postcard image I think you showed on your screen. That was it. It was old, like Cthulhu-like sort of. And I kept thinking back to 2012. Does anyone remember 2012? Do you remember what 2012 was supposed to be?
Wasn't that like a year and a half ago or something? Like 2 years ago? Right?
Yeah, right. Time has no meaning anymore. That was the Mayan calendar was going to end and the world was going to be destroyed, right? So I had those visions in my head when I designed the postcard to track your miles. So each little footprint is a day that, one of the 10 days. You have to complete the 10 days to get to the pyramid to stop the end of the world. That was the whole premise on last year. Very simple. It wasn't intended to be anything lasting. It was just sort of humorous. We came up with a whole, instead of the Illuminati, we came up with the Obscurus Illustratus, which is the faintly illuminated. So it was really meant to be silly.
Yeah.
Did that, designed a t-shirt. People could buy the t-shirt if they want to. A handful of folks did. Not many people bought the t-shirt. That's okay. It was just, it was one of those things. but we had backing on it. And, at the end of it, we didn't think we would do it again. But I had a couple folks who said, that really motivated me last year to be active for 10 days. And I kept active afterwards. And that stuck with me after the holidays when I heard from a couple folks that really motivated them. I thought, many people do those couch to 5Ks and some other things. And it was like, if that's all it takes to motivate someone to adopt a healthier lifestyle, be healthier, and hopefully both physically and mentally and emotionally healthier by just staying active and maybe connecting with folks during the holidays, I think that's pretty great from our perspective. When we started the company, the actual company name is 2 Silver Denarii. It's based on the idea of helping others.
Right.
It's based on the parable. So if this helps folks, let's try it again. And so we spent, but I'm never satisfied. So that was really simple. And I said, let's make something really complex instead. And so we blew it up into more of an actual virtual challenge with using runsignup.com, which is folks who do a lot of 5Ks probably have seen some of their stuff. But they are actually have a great virtual setup where you can register, and then it tracks and you get badges for each milestone you meet. So for us, the milestone is a mile a day. So every day that you log your mile, you'll get a badge. And the badge is thematically linked to this year's theme for the Ragnarok Run, the world-ending event that's going to occur, robots. So we have a series of badges that will pop up as you complete those. And last year we did postcards. So this year we're doing postcards as well. Every time you complete your badge, you have 5 physical postcards you can mail to friends or family that have puzzles on them to help you solve the riddle of the world-ending event. Now it says robot uprising. So it's no surprise it's robot uprising, but there are clues along the way that lead you to the ending of the world threat.
And you sent me a little bit of art here. Are these a couple of the postcards?
Those are some of the postcards. Yep, we have a couple different artists that did postcards. I just got another one of the artists sent me her work. It's actually really, really nice. It's much more child-friendly than the one with the skulls. But I just say PG-13, give me something you like. And there's a little bit of, obviously you don't send the postcard with the skull to like your grandmother probably, but maybe the one with the robots hiding in a bookshelf you may, which is what I just got yesterday.
We got Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. I love badges and postcards. So you seem to have something going for you there.
Yeah. It's just that little incentive, you get log your mile, get the little badge. And I think that the artwork for the badges is fun. And it is, because we did robots, a lot of it is spoof sci-fi stuff. So you recognize some of the iconic sort of robot silhouettes are used in some of these to really bring forward that sci-fi feel that you get with robots.
Right.
So that's the story of the Ragnarok Run.
I am so super excited about this. Oh, Willow's back. I love the nod to vintage science fiction films. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Will. And actually, the postcards themselves, that's the imagery on the postcards is what Dave was showing. We actually are putting those so that the titles on the postcard will all have an old pulp fiction feel. So one of them I have has very much that feel already. So they'll have a title that speaks to this whole pulp fiction-y kind of thing, like old sci-fi. I keep dating myself. I used to go to the cigar store and they always they had a rack of books that were all like $1.50 each. They were little paperback books for maybe barely 200 pages, what people consider novellas today. But that kind of feel to them is what we're going for with the posters and the other materials. It's worth noting on this. So for the race, everyone who signs up for the race, you get a medal. And I don't think I sent a copy of the medal to you. Did I, Dave?
No, you did not. If you shoot it to me while we talk, I can pull it up in a minute here.
The medal, it's pretty funny looking, but the way I describe the medal, if you go on the site just to look through like you're going to sign up, you can see it. It looks like a Christmas ornament to some degree. So it says you can wear it proudly for holiday festivities or hang it from your Christmas tree. But as part of this, there is a story to the puzzles that are unfolding. And so we created this whole mythical background to who you're involved with and the secret organization that's trying to uncover this. It's sort of silly. It's on our website. If you look at drzeropresents.com at Obscurus Illustratus, you can read the silly background we created for this whole race concept and what it's doing. We have early bird registration right now through October 31st. So registration to be part of the race, to get your medal, to get the postcards, it's $20.
Okay. I'm just trying to find the picture of the medal here as well. Website. Jumping between websites.
Here, I can. I'm going to forward it to you, Dave.
Okay, perfect.
I didn't even think about it. I think we got it after we had communicated last, is why I didn't send it.
Probably. No.
And then my favorite part is the T-shirt we designed, which is not part of the $20 registration. It is an add-on because if you get too few T-shirt orders, you really lose your shirt. Ha, ha, ha. Horrible puns.
Yeah.
But it has part of the Robot Uprising logo, slightly modified, and then it has underneath it binary. It says, "I saved the world today. What did you do?" Which is the tagline we used last year.
Yeah, there's the one logo. That's last year's.
Yep, that was last year's.
Yeah, you said it dinged at me, so that's okay. I will pull it up here as we talk. No, I what really sold me was kind of like, oh, it's kind of Yuletide, and so before I even, heard what the concept was, I'm like, I'm in, because I know exactly, like, that is such a hard time, because it's the shortest days of the year. Yes, it's it's as days get started, starting to get longer again, but that not enough that it matters, if that kind of makes sense.
It does. Absolutely.
My general joke, my birthday is actually the 22nd. So my kind of constant joke is that, I was born and the days became longer. The light came back.
My paternal grandmother's birthday was December 21st.
Ah, yes. I got my nephew is also the 21st, and I got another friend. It's a horrible time of year to have a birthday.
It really
I feel sorry. I really do for anyone having a birthday in that kind of a time frame. And until basically anything after Boxing Day. Like once you get it, Boxing Day, okay, for the American people, Boxing Day is December 26th. And it is, it is ostensibly a British and Commonwealth holiday.
Yeah.
But so a lot of Americans, the most Americans have heard about it would be like there's an episode on MASH about it. But yeah, basically after Boxing Day is over, I stop having any sort of pity for people. As far as the birthdays go, just strictly based on come on. Let me do it this way. Strictly based on, you're gonna have a party soon. Whether you want to, or whether it's dedicated to you or not. There it is. If okay, great, you have to split it with New Year's. Well, you're not so bad. There it is. Ding, ding, ding. And
yeah, just picture that with a little circle hook at the top of it to hang the ribbon from. But yeah, that's essentially the medal.
And that's a physical. It's a physical
yeah,
medal.
We will actually mail out the postcard, so you can send them to friends or family. Again, part of this was, we call it the physical challenge, the mental challenge, the social challenge. You've got puzzles to figure out. You've got people to connect with. You have the physical activity. It really was trying to be a holistic approach to doing something and it's not for everybody. We don't expect everyone to want to run out and do this, but it was intended to be something to connect with folks. And the puzzles are the same puzzles that are on the postcards are the puzzles you get when you complete your milestone. It'll kick a puzzle out to you, and you have to solve it if you're going to try to solve the whole, like, just without the violence or death.
Yeah. That's not the big shopping day here is Boxing Day, and it's a split of, all the returns, boxing everything up and taking that back, and all of the big sales.
What's funny about that is that struck. So I'm married a British descendant here. So my mother-in-law is a British citizen, and we have to have dinner on Boxing Day and show everything that we got for Christmas and have, all that. That's actually a lovely tradition. I really enjoy it. But that violence and death piece, I'm like, I don't remember the Star Trek level of gladiatorial combat that goes along with Boxing Day, but maybe I'm missing something.
No, I can't. We politely stand in line and wait our turns, unlike Black Friday, where you just kind of trample everybody.
Yeah, right.
To be fair, we are trying to embrace other cultures, so we are trying to embrace the Black Friday traditions of trampling everybody to get to sale items. Capitalism.
Cabbage Patch Kids. I'm sure killing someone else for a Cabbage Patch Kid. It made total sense at the time.
Yep, and that there is a certain generation of an age of people that I will not admit to being of that will remember Cabbage Patch Kids and just the insanity that those brought our poor parents. Our poor parents.
This time of year, you watch that old Arnold Schwarzenegger Christmas movie, the Jingle All the Way, where he's trying to find the doll. That's it. That was
a true story, basically.
Yeah, that was American capitalism at its finest, right there.
Exactly. Well, I mean, now we have Cyber Monday as well. So I mean, you can just extend the shopping goodness. Make it the whole weekend. 4 days of that.
I was going to say, I thought Christmas shopping already began.
If you're smart. I mean, as far as the stores are concerned, it has, because, it's not quite Halloween yet. So here's Christmas.
Oh, yeah. The Christmas decorations are out already. That's, I can't complain. My wife and I used to always go out for Black Friday shopping. But as time went on, we bought less and less and less. And really, we just went out to get something to eat when everybody was in the stores. And then we went to the movies.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
That was a great Black Friday shopping experience. And then after the movies, it'd be 10 o'clock at night and everybody's gone home because they were up early. And then you go to the stores and see what's left over.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like going the day after Halloween. All the good candy deals.
That's right. You buy candy after Halloween.
Exactly.
No one said that your Christmas candy that's in the stocking can't have ghosts and bats on it.
In fact, if you're doing it right, it probably does.
Exactly.
And then you turn on some Tim Burton and you just crank. This is it's making Christmas, and it's all is good.
It's Nightmare Before Christmas. That's right.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Set the alarm for when?
Who does? Apparently, my watch thinks I was trying to set an alarm for Christmas. Thank you, Siri. No, that's not what I was going for there.
Maybe it knows something you don't.
Maybe, yeah. No, it's Christmas is an interesting time of year for us here, like at the Rat Hole. We do a yearly series, basically from American Thanksgiving, or as we call it here in Canada, Thursday, until Christmas. We do all holiday reviews. That does tend to mean Christmas reviews. If we had stuff, if we had Yuletide, if we had Hanukkah, if we had a good Festivus game, I would love to put those into the rotation. So if any publishers are watching and you have something that's holiday and not Christmas, please get in touch. I send out a Krampus newsletter, not a Christmas newsletter, or, a New Year's one.
It's good.
Exactly.
Like that Krampus newsletter. That was my son made me watch that movie.
Oh, there's several movies. I got to start it fairly soon here. I do a yearly reading. Brahm, the artist, writer, creative genius, has a book called Krampus the Yule Lord.
Really?
And it is a fabulous. It's really. I listened to it on an audiobook, but it's a good, interesting mix between different mythologies that do kind of fit really well together with what Krampus.
When did he put that out? I don't.
At least 5 years ago.
I honestly didn't know the guy was still alive.
I honestly don't know if he is, but like I said, I say at least 5 years ago. Not that I bought it new, as a new release. That I just know it's been around at least that long.
So it's a good book for young children, I'm sure.
Yeah, if you're depending on your no, it's actually not the word. It's not a horror. It's not a horror book, but it is certainly not, light and fluffy. It's not Care Bears.
Well, it's Brom Bears.
Yeah, it could be worse, definitely. But it could also be. So it depends on your child.
Well, or it depends on whether you like the child.
That refuse to comment on the grounds that I know too many people with children who will just assume I'm talking about them on either direction.
I have 2 children.
You're allowed then, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying.
Which one is your favorite?
Is there a favorite? Of course there's a favorite.
Of course there's a favorite. No.
Depends on what you're doing, right? Everybody has, if I'm doing, activity X, then I want child B. And if I'm doing activity Y, I want child A. That's all.
I just like stirring the pot.
There's no stirring. No stirring. But you have to also understand, my children are older, and one's an adult, near adult. They're never truly adult. And the other one is near 2. So.
Oh, that's a big spread.
Yeah.
No, totally fair. But yeah, no, it's so yeah, that's why the whole they're doing this over Yuletide thing was an immediate for me when I got told that Mike, right?
Matt?
Was
Matt the guy with the long hair?
Matt. Yeah, Matt. Sorry, Matt. Was at the booth at the time when I almost caught up with you at Origins, had mentioned that. And we are all so busy. If you people watching, if you have not been to a big gaming convention like Gen Con, like Origins, it's an experience. This year was extra weird, I guess, because everything has been downsized, and at least we got something live. But
I didn't go to Gen Con. Busy. What did you think of Gen Con with their setup? I was just curious.
I really liked it, actually. I mean, they did spread things out. There was more space. It wasn't as noticeable as a lot of people expected it to be, because they did actually curtain off a bunch of the hall, at least as far as the vendor hall goes. I get outside of the Gruff World Championships, I basically don't leave the vendor hall the entire weekend. That's just between helping out with publishers and meeting other publishers as media. That's just where I live. But there was more space. I didn't get hit by a single backpack. And if you've never been to Gen Con again, you don't understand. People will carry the big gaming backpacks that can fit, these big boxes in it, right? So if you think it's out this far from you or farther, and they're carrying that around, so you get to not get hit by a single backpack is special.
I was going to say, if folks have never seen it, these gaming backpacks carry more than a sailor going off to sea in a gunny set.
Yes, that really, they really are. I heard that Essen actually, I think, banned them this year. I'm
not surprised. They take up a full extra body space in the vendor halls. Yep,
I've got a backpack to carry stuff, but it's not that. It's it's a hiking backpack. But yeah, but to not get hit with one was amazing. You could do a pirouette if you wanted and not hit a body. They'd curtained off the whole back area. So they still, like I said, they had more space, but they still cordoned off a bit, which for me was great because it meant I could actually get from one end to the other in like as fast as I could move, as opposed to as fast as the crowd was moving. And they had a nice little, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but they had a nice little vendor area because I was helping out with Steeped Games there. So they had all the exhibitors had a lounge area back there. We have extra space. Let's put some tables here, and we've cordoned off a bathroom. So here you go.
That is actually really nice.
Yeah.
That they had that set up. I didn't go to Gen Con, just full disclosure, but I heard that it was varying responses to how it was set up.
They had the first day was normally they have what's called the running of the nerds, and it's the doors open and it's almost they do everything they can to avoid Black Friday run. It's like, don't run, you walk. You get a long speech before they open the doors. Do not run, you walk. But it's a pretty quick walk. So, but they didn't do a very good job of social distancing or trying to keep that outside crowd separated. Like there was definitely some issues there. Although they did open the hall a bit early, as they went, oh, this is some big crowd. Let's get this spread out.
I saw images, and it that initial crowd didn't look to be any thinner than any other year for.
No, it definitely was, but it again, when you get into that picture that you're going to see, it's definitely it didn't seem like it, definitely from the photos. Yes, Willow's out in Manitoba, so gaming convention January. Gametoba.
I like the naming convention. That it makes it very easy for a citizen of Ohio to understand where you're probably going.
Yeah, no, it's nice that way. But no, I loved it. It was great. But yeah, and Origins was apparently about a third of the size as well. I've never been to Origins before, so
it was very, very lean at Origins. I'm not going to say I was disappointed by the crowd or the setup, but it was normally that, since you were there, that vendor hall that we were in that had the vendors at the back and then all the gaming setup in the two front halls.
Right.
That's normally just the vendors.
Okay.
So now that does include the vendors who are running their own game demos would have their own table set up. But you essentially always have two full halls or nothing but game vendors of various sizes and activities. And to cut that down to a third of what it normally is, that was a little disappointing. And I definitely felt like the crowd was much leaner. But we expected that given this situation. But I thought everyone who was there, of the attendees, I was very, very impressed by how responsible everyone was, how they were following the guidance for masking and following all those orders and rules. So the crowd was very respectful. I thought they did a great job from the crowd.
I definitely agree. I know. I didn't hear any horror stories from Origins. I do know that there were a surprisingly small handful of people that had their badges straight up revoked at Gen Con. It's like, these are the rules. You already agreed to it. You can disagree with it all you want, but you're not going to disagree with it here. And sent them on their way. And that's important. I love hearing that, I don't love hearing that people were had to get thrown out. I love that they were handling the situation fairly quickly. And I know at both events, the most I saw was like, okay, it's not even like I don't know if you guys call it down there, but dick nose. They're just kind of hanging out, not even at best you get one that's like clearly they've been talking or something and it's just kind of fallen a bit. That's reasonable. That's fair. There's no one actively just being a dick about it.
Right. Yeah. When you hear those complaints about they're not wearing the mask properly, I'm like, if you're dealing with a customer service person who's talking nonstop, keeping a mask above your nose becomes really difficult. So you have to cut them a little bit of slack here. Especially
if you got glasses. That's an extra thing. I was really I'm happy to have a mask on. I will wear that thing till the end of the days. I've done a lot of anime conventions where it's fashion as much as anything. So it's like, meh. But I was running 5Ks in that mask, and it's like, yes, I will happily wear this. But yeah, it can be a little bit of a pain in the butt, like especially when I'm doing photos or something where it's moving the air differently. That's such a hassle, especially when you start getting the cold weather.
Yeah.
I also want to say, Mr. Ohio, I hate you. When I left, no, I don't. But when I left Columbus, it was basically high summer weather for us and almost freezing here. We've already had snow here.
Well, if it makes you feel really good, last week it was like 86 degrees and sunny here, which was really depressing.
It's currently 4 degrees.
I was gonna say, I woke up this morning, it was 42 outside, and I thought, man, I'm going to have to put on pants today.
Oh, yeah, no. Pants are for chumps. No, I'm totally wearing pants. Don't worry. But yeah, no, it's getting to be that point in the year where it's like, I didn't realize it was going to be that warm because I was down in the States for almost a month. So I left at the beginning of September. So it was a fairly warm September by the, or end of August, I guess, when I left. There comes a point where you kind of lose perspective. That 10 days of between Christmas and New Year's where you just go, I don't know where I am. I don't know when I am. Did I eat cheese today? It was that for a month. So when I left, I'm like, I was just acclimatized to this summer weather, and then got home and went, oh yeah, shoot, now I'm home.
And it's probably a lot darker there at 4:00 in the afternoon than it is here.
It's sun is not down, but it is noticeably darker right now for sure.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. You get used to it. But
yeah, we have had unseasonably warm weather though. Our seasons are all screwed up.
Fair. So one of the things I did, again, just to get kind of back on track, because we just
it's your show, Dave. You do what you want.
It is. It's true. I that's the joy of being the host. I can just take it where I want. But as soon as I kind of booked you and confirmed you, I'm like, I like to do a giveaway on the show. It's something, I think it's just nice. It's get some participation, get some audience interaction in there. And with you having a run, and it's not until till late December,
right?
And there's a lot of people out there just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do that. I don't know if I want to. That seems unthinkable to me. Like, how can I help motivate people to do your event? And so I went, well, I had come across back when they first launched their Kickstarter, the Workout Adventure. So these are 14. They just finished their first season, 14 different workouts, everything from runs with workouts to station stuff to I think there's actually a bike ride one. I haven't actually looked at all of them just yet, but I contacted them and they were kind enough to give me a seasons 1 pass for one winner and 2 of their friends. So you can have a whole RPG party. And so we set that all up and we have our winner, and the winner is, drum roll please, from our Facebook page, Adrian Van Drunen. So I'll be in touch with him in regards to getting him those codes. And something I didn't mention to you before, they also gave me a code for you.
Oh, okay.
So you can.
You're pointing to me, right? Because you're on the computer. I don't know.
You're right. For you, Jason.
That's
yes.
nice of them. That's very nice. It sounds really fun. Honestly, it sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I've done. Like I said, there's a couple of them. If you didn't win, if you want to check it out, you can still look them up. I forgot to put their website in here, but just look up Workout Adventure on like SoundCloud. They do have, or is Bandcamp or SoundCloud? They do have a couple of freebies up there that are early on in the storyline for these workouts. So you can definitely try them out for free. It's absolutely fabulous and amazing. I've done a few of them and I really enjoyed them. It's a lot of fun. The only equipment you need, there is one that's a bicycle one, I believe. Go find a gym with a a thing, a standing bike. And yeah, just other than that, you need a 6-sided die. And I've actually got a nice big Kess has a drop dot die, which I forgot to bring downstairs. That's just perfect size to have in your hand. It's about the size of a tennis ball. And as I run, if you don't have it, you just kind of futz it around in your hand and just like put your thumb on something and look, and that's what you've rolled. I would just take it and I just whip it in front of me, keep running, catch up to it. Okay, that's what it was, and it was a ton of fun. If you can get something like that on there.
I made a note for the bicycle one because I have a sister who invested in one of those soul sucking cycle things.
Okay, the Pelotons.
Yes, that's it.
That's the one. Yep. I don't want you to talk. I don't want you to call out my name during a workout. No, I don't want to be on camera. No, just let me do my workout. You encourage me, but no. Yeah. But I mean, there are people who that helps motivate them, and hey, great, that's awesome.
It's all about what motivates you, and there's lots of opportunities for folks that want to do the 5K in person, which I didn't start doing 5Ks in person until I was in my 30s. Honestly, up till then, I just did everything on my own. But I grew up motivating.
Yeah, I grew up, in way back when in school I was a sprinter. I 100 meters, 200 meters, 110 hurdles. You put me in the 200 meters, I died. Like I was bang done. But as and I did roller derby. That's where the Paparazzo name came from. I play Quidditch. So there, and those involve some running. And I'm old and was kind of chubby. And so I actually ran my first 5K for Pride Days, the first June of the pandemic. I had been working my way through it. So I ran my first one then and was, so it was, and it's great. I'm looking forward to doing, I'm looking to beat some robots and over Christmas. Cause it'll definitely be, it's for Canadians. It's going to be a little bit extra challenge because it is going to be, the middle of winter and probably a ton of snow. One thing, and we didn't talk about that. One of the things you had mentioned in some of the stuff you sent me is that it's a run or equivalent exercise. What sort of things count as equivalent?
Well, I mean, part of the reason why we put that out there is because some people may have mobility issues that make walking or running particularly difficult. And certainly we don't want to have anything that would create a barrier to them being physically active, which is all we're shooting for here. And so if you have mobility issues, but you have a wheelchair and you want to participate that way, certainly that would be acceptable. If you have other mobility issues, arthritis, something that just makes any kind of walking or activity, pick what you feel is an equivalent number. And you can look online and get a list of equivalent to, 20 minutes of walking is equivalent to X number of minutes of gardening, or, I suppose you can find one that says in shopping for that matter, if you really wanted to, but it's really just about being active for some amount of time. And you can find lots of research that shows it doesn't take a ton of activity to start to build a healthier lifestyle. And that's all we're trying to shoot for, really and truthfully.
For sure. And if you mobility issues aside, if you're, like me, where it's going to be cold during that, go to the mall. Surprisingly, a lot of shopping malls have, sometimes even time set aside for mall walks. Literally, they use themselves as an indoor walking track.
Yeah, around here, that's what a lot of them are. There's an hour before the shops open where seniors are invited, elderly. Yep. OAPs are invited in to do their walk, and that hour is dedicated for them. And it's a safe, warm environment for winter months for folks to remain active. So it works out very, very well.
Exactly. So it's definitely, if there's a reason, if you want to do this, there are ways you can do it. Heck, reach out to me. I'll find you a way to do it. But you can definitely, find the motivation.
Scenario, you can march in place inside your apartment or your house or your bedroom. I will say, in the winter when I was a kid, if it was really, really nasty, and it had to be really nasty for me not to run outside, I'd run in place for 40 minutes instead of
Yep.
because I didn't get my run outside. I don't have that kind of dedication at this point in my life, but then I did. But 20 minutes of stepping in place or marching or what have you, you can find ways to do it.
Have a conversation with your downstairs neighbor.
Yes, if you're in an apartment.
Yeah. But no, I'm lucky if we got a nice indoor running track that is not terribly far away. So as as winter comes, I can do that. So there's all sorts of opportunities and options out there for people. But I honestly, is there anything else? Plug whatever you want. This time's for you now, Jason. What is there anything else that we can? Where can people find you? All of that.
Sure. Obviously, you can find us at drzeropresents.com. That's our website. We have some of the items that were discussed today are available on that. But really, if you're looking for something and you don't see it on there, you can certainly email us at Dr. Zero from the email at drzeropresents.com or find us on Facebook at Presents Doctor. You can find us on that as well. Look, really, almost everything we produce for the Kickstarter audience and release it that way. And whatever we have left over from production, we sell off at conventions or through the website. But we really spend most of our time running through the Kickstarter to try to limit our expenses and really make sure we're developing a product that's made in concert with folks who are trying to support those kind of activities. So we would encourage you to go through there. Right now, we're just trying to focus on making the best formal Ragnarok Run we can. It's the first time we've done it as a truly virtual event, and so we'll be seeking a lot of feedback from folks, both in terms of the registration as well as their experience. That's definitely a big part of what we're trying to do right now. You can saw the artwork we've got from the artists. We have 4 different artists who have contributed artwork to the postcards. They've done a great job. It's really nice artwork. The puzzles are multi-layered puzzles. My wife said they're too hard. I said they're just right. So if you're looking for that challenge, give us a try. We're hoping to really make it a good time. And more importantly, we're hoping to get feedback to make it even better as time goes on and have an even bigger experience each time out. So look forward to seeing folks join us.
Excellent. I know I'm certainly hoping to sign up, get out there, do the runs. But as we run out of time here, I just have a couple of quick, some housekeeping here. Definitely want to say thank you to the 427s, whose fabulous music you hear at either end of the show. Geekorama.net, who is co-broadcasting this for us. Geek Insider, who is sponsoring our StreamYard today. I believe they've actually changed their name, and I need to fix that. And my apologies to Meredith and her team if I've got that still wrong. Thank you, Workout Adventure, for the prizes. That's amazing. And of course, thank you, Jason, for coming out there. And just a reminder to everybody else, we do have a link tree. So linktr.ee/therathole.ca. That site gives you basically a button to press to get to all of our social medias. If you may have found this very broadcast through that. All of our prize entry for stuff was on that as well. That's going to be updated fairly soon, as we will have another giveaway, possibly 2, coming up at the end of November. And at the end of November, I believe it's the 29th. We're going to go look at a calendar here because I should have known that. 29th of November. We've got Jason Stormer from Party of One, and he's going to be checking out. We're going to talk to him about some indie games and some amazing stuff. We are hosting the RPG Blog Carnival that month, all about indie games. So for the whole month of November, we've got a bunch of stuff there. But again, thank you, Jason, for coming on.
Thank you, Paparazzo. I appreciate it. It's always good to talk with neighbors to the north.
Yes, come back anytime. If let us know when you've got more stuff coming on. We'll see if we can't get some spotlights out and get more people doing the things that you do.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. As far as everyone else goes, again, thank you for joining us. And until January, good gaming and goodbye.